Blitz with Ross Volkmer.
Give me my cane. I'll show you how to play this game.
The region's only local sports talk.
Dynamite drop-in at broadcast school has really paid off.
Broadcasting on Goodland's Rocket 102.5, simulcasting on Goodland's 730 Gold KLOE.
Guys everywhere.
Discussing it all from the preps.
Touchdown, the Cowboys!
To the pros.
And Timmy back on the track. It's out of here. Bobby Witt Jr. delivers a go-ahead grand slam.
The Blitz is presented by Pearl Chevrolet GMC, Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware, and F&B Bank, as well as the Insurance Agency, Farmer State Bank in Oakley, the Cowboy Corner Express, and Equity Bank of Hoxie, Quinter, and Grinnell.
Let's go to work.
Hello, is this thing on? Is this thing working?
I can hear you, Ross. I can hear you loud and clear.
I actually mean it as a joke, as in, are we on the air? Can people hear us on the air? We should be on the air,
Well,
according to the
question.
computer and the levels. But anyway, we just got a text here. Let's see. Our listener from, yeah, yes, I understand. Joel Navarro chiming in. Yes, we are on the air. It was more of a joke, is what I'm trying to kind of say here, Joel. It was more of a joke, personally. But I'm telling you, we are on the air. I think it got done at yesterday at it got done this morning. I think at 1 o'clock in the morning Mountain Time. That KKCI and KLOE, KWGB all got back up on the air. So we have officially, well, not really officially, we have moved the equipment into the new building. And so we are still putting it together, but we have the basics put together to where now we can at least get on the air remotely. And so, and somehow, some way, through the glorious gift of the man upstairs, we have found a way, Max and I, to make our show work, me from my basement of my house, because the studio is not done. It's still, once again, nothing there. We just have the technology set up in what is known as the rack room. And shout out to Bart and Alex, who have done a great job with that. And shout out to Randy, who was up on the tower, I'm pretty sure at midnight last night, with a headlight lamp on, getting the tower finished finalizing the tower and getting the cables run down into the building. It was a huge day yesterday. It was big. And salute to our engineer, Bart, and his son, Alex, who helped out. Salute to Randy, of course, our owner, Kyle, who was there doing everything from pouring cement and breaking the front window of his skid steer accidentally. Max was there to witness that, and other things too. But we're glad that we are on the air here on this Wednesday morning, a rainy Wednesday morning. And some very interesting weather supposed to be moving through at least the very, very western part of Kansas. If you're along the border, you might see a trace of snow. You might see 7 inches of snow. We'll see. It just depends on where the storm is going. But right now, at least in Goodland, before I headed downstairs to the basement, it was raining. And that is a beautiful sight to these eyes, because we do not see enough moisture in these parts. So I don't know. What's it like in Colby this morning, Max? Do you have to clear off the ice?
No, because of the rain. It was rainy this morning. So, yeah, I think it's probably the first time since I got here that I woke up to rain. So that's always a good sign. I know people, because coming from Florida for the last 2 years, it rains literally every single day at 3 o'clock. So
really, that's how that works at 3 every day.
Yeah, around roughly 3 o'clock every single day in Florida. It's at least in Central Florida, it rains. So coming here and it's not raining a lot. It was weird because everyone was begging for rain. So yeah, we got the rain today and hopefully some more precipitation.
Precipitation?
Precipitation?
Precipitation.
One of the two. That's why we talk about sports, Ross.
Yeah. Well, why are we talking at all? Would be the question. We can't say precipitation.
Probably true.
Say precipitation.
All right.
But anyway, no matter what, if you're listening on the radio on 102.5 York, we are not simulcasting on 730 Gold KLOE. That is one thing that is not set up. So we are only on KKCI today, but we are on the air. Once again, huge salute to Bart, Randy, Alex, Kyle, everyone that helped make that go fantastic yesterday. But we are up and running in the new building, but we are not officially moved into the new building as in studios and things of that. That is going to be on the docket for the next 24 to 48 hours. And in that meantime, we'll make do with what we have from Ross's basement and Max from back in his little studio there in Colby. So once again, you can see our beautiful mugs on the Hurl Chevrolet GMC video stream. If you would like to chime in throughout the show, the F&B Bank text line does still work. You can hit us up on the FB Bank text line, 785-899-2222. Max and I tell you, I think Max and I both want to give a shout out to any listeners that talked to us yesterday. We were out in the community.
Yes.
We were out visiting with some people throughout the community, and people are like, well, where'd the radio station go? And we're just saying, well, we're moving, it's the process. So please be patient with us. And a shout out to all those people that were very patient with us in the move. And shout out to Tracy and the crew out at the
I
Goodland
was about to
Dump.
say.
Shout out to Tracy and the crew out at the Goodland Dump that they were out there yesterday. They were out there laughing with us as we were tossing a bunch of old junk into the old radio stuff from 50, 60 years ago. Nuts.
Crazy. I don't know how do you go that long without it's crazy. The things that I saw in there. We were looking through the truck bed and I said, I don't think there is one item in this flat, trailer that is younger than me. I think it was all older. It was all old to me. It was ridiculous.
I bet you could count on one hand how many things in that entire truck bed and trailer full of garbage that was younger than Max.
It was an iPad case. That was it. That was the only thing.
There was a Ethernet splitter I saw.
That's true.
That would definitely be something that would be after your time. So, but anyway, it was quite a day yesterday, and now and I tell you the reason that they work so late into the night is because the weather that came here early this morning with the rain and possibly snow.
Yeah.
So once again, I give a huge shout out to our guy who works on our towers. I give a shout out to Randy. That guy, he's sick. He's in his mid to upper 60s, maybe low 70s, and that guy, he climbs towers for a living, folks. He gets up hundreds of feet in the air, hanging off, just cables and stuff, and doing stuff. He does amazing work. It's fun to watch. I mean, I wouldn't want to do it, but it's fun to watch. So, anyway, that's just like I said, a crazy day yesterday, and I'm glad that everyone is sticking with us through what is going to be kind of an interesting couple of days here. At least in the Goodland radio stations. But we are here. We're on the air. I still can't believe we figured out some way to make it work. I was very concerned, to be completely honest with you. But we have found a way to make it work here. And I'm super excited because this is kind of fun for me. I love solving technology problems. And so to get this figured out and actually make it work makes me feel very, very good here this morning. One of the two reasons I feel very, very good this morning. The other reason is my shirt color. But anyway, let's move on. And we will move on. We got plenty of sports to get to today. Riley Gates is going to join us coming up here on the Morning Blitz, our good friend from On3 Sports. We're going to talk a little college football. Since the first college football playoff rankings are out, we'll get Riley's thoughts on that. We'll get some thoughts on his K-State Wildcats and their first game as they take care of New Orleans last night. So we will get to all that coming up here on the Morning Blitz. We will also get to our college football Power 5 a little bit later on in the show. So it'll be a quick show, I guarantee you that, but we'll make the most of it as much as we possibly can. But I tell you, we got a lot to get to in our first segment, and I always find there's no better way to do that than with the front page.
Read all about it. Read all about it.
The top stories of today.
I got the early edition, hot off the press.
It's the front page on the Morning Blitz.
Front page, really?
So first and foremost, starting with Colby Community College basketball, they were on the floor last night. We talked with head coach Jared Stanford last night, or yesterday, I should say. My days are running together, Max. It's getting crazy. But we talked to him yesterday morning, and they were on their way to North Platte. Colby Community College women were playing as well at Lamar, and it was a split yesterday. The Colby men picking up a very nice win at a tough place to play in North Platte, 78-72. Remember he talked about Eternity. And Eternity was this guy's name. I'm going to butcher his last name. I think it's Aogi, possibly something like that. He had 25 points last night. 25 points to lead the way for the Trojan men. He was one of three guys in double figures. Maxons Macedia had 14. Another guy that I cannot even say or want to pronounce his name or even try had 10 points last night for the Colby men, who had a really nice win last night. They kind of got it done really just – they didn't win the, we always talk about those little games, how did you get it done? They lost the rebounding battle. They made just one less three. They shot it pretty much same as North Platte. But the big difference to me was free throws. They made 22 of 27. They got to the line a whole lot more than North Platte did, and that resulted in a win to get the Trojans to 2-1. Colby Community College women, not the same amount of luck yesterday. They fell in a tight one, 55-53, the official final score from last night. Ishante Suttington, 12 points, 9 rebounds. A double-double for Sophia Lopez, 11 and 11, the same as her number, to lead the Lady Trojans who, once again, kind of the same thing, but did not make their free throws, went 8 of 17. And in a close game like this where you lose by 2, got to make those freebies at the line when it matters the most. So Colby Community College splitting yesterday. Lady Trojans now 1-1 on the season. Trojan men 2-1. Both are at home at the event center coming up here, I think, for the home openers. No, not for the women, but for the men. That'd be on Sunday. They'll welcome in Kansas Wesleyan Junior Varsity. And also some big news, Max. I don't know if you knew this or not, but CCC is going to be offering a women's wrestling program starting in the year of 2025. So
Wow.
Northwest Tech, Fort Hays Tech Northwest already has a women's wrestling program. There's a lot of programs going up. I mean, did you know it's the fastest growing sport in America, women's wrestling?
It doesn't surprise me at all. It doesn't surprise me at all. But
Yeah, definitely.
that's all. I
Growing
mean,
up.
yeah,
Yeah,
especially out here.
Yeah, it's blowing up humongously, and Colby Community College going to once again they've started a national search to find a coach for their program, and so they've got a lot of things happening there at CCC with a new program starting up there with girls wrestling. How about the Kansas State men last night, Max? I don't know if you got a chance to watch in this game amidst your coverage of the election. I know you were zoned in on election coverage yesterday. At least you told me you were going to be.
Yes.
But it was a pretty dominant win for the Wildcats, 89-65 over the Privateers of New Orleans. I love that.
Privateers.
Things that stood out to me. First and foremost, three-point shooting. They took 34 threes last night, did Kansas State. That's way more than they have pretty much any time in the Tang era in a short era. This is his third season. But they made 13 of those three-pointers. That's 38%. That's a very, very good clip, obviously. Yeah. That was highly impressive. They got 21 and 15 from David Gershonn. He had a double-double in the first half, but he had 21 and 15 when the day was over. What a day for David Gershonn. And then Max Jones. People were like, they don't know much about Max Jones. He's a transfer from Cal State Fullerton. And it's so confusing to me because when I hear the Max Jones, I think about where the Goodland Cowgirls and Cowboys play.
Max.
Field Hill. So that's what I think about when I hear Max Jones. I'm like, is he reincarnated? No. But Max Jones, the transfer from Cal State Fullerton, went out there, put up 19 points. He did not play in the exhibition game against Fort Hays State, but he came out and he proved why Coach Tang thought he would be a dude. And he certainly looked like it in that game last night. 19 points, 5 assists, 3 rebounds. Brandon Hassan, who's the transfer from Villanova, 17 points, made 4 of 9 three-pointers. Mac Jones made 4 of 5 three-pointers. Those two guys really shot it well. Gershonn got it done on the glass and put back bunnies going 10 of 14 from the field. But to me, the biggest thing was, once again, this is a team with only 3 returners from last year's roster, Max. Only 3 guys are back. Otherwise, they have everybody brand spanking new from the transfer portal or freshman. Because Tang was not happy with how his team performed last year, and he said, we're scrapping it when we're going another direction. And at least in the first game, it looked good. Now, it was not great to start. They were down early and struggled in the first half. But they found a way to kind of piece it together and put together a pretty good second half and win dominantly.
Yeah, and Jerome Tang, as much as I, kind of don't like him just because simply I'm a KU fan, I respect the crap out of him. He is a fantastic basketball coach, any way you look at it. So I have full faith in this really being a big step up from last year for the K-State Wildcats basketball program. I'm looking at the box score. Coleman Hawkins, 2 for 9, 1 for 6, slightly, you could say that's somewhat concerning, as well as, some guys that just didn't shoot as well as, they would be expected to, but, they can get away with that in these first few games. But like I said, Jerome Tang is a fantastic basketball coach, and this last year, I think, is when it's all said and done with his career at K-State, I really do think last year might be one of the flukes, because I really do think he's building something. As much as it pains me to say, I think he's building something real good at K-State.
The thing about Coleman Hawkins, I think a lot of people are going to have to remember for this season, there will be nights where he goes off and he has big nights, but there's going to be a lot of nights like this one. 5 points, 9 boards, 5 assists. He has become the ultimate WD-40 man, where I'm just going to do what I'm asked to do. If it's my night to score, I guess I'm going to go get my buckets. If it's my night to hand out assists, I'm going to do that. If I got to go rebound, I'm going to do that. If I got to go block shots, I'm going to go do that. He is one of the most versatile players in all of college basketball. And Coleman Hawkins, I am super jealous of Kansas State that they got him, because I think he's a dude watching him at Illinois for the previous few years. He will have some nights where he is humongous in point scoring. but there's going to be a good number of nights that are just like this, where he's like, you know what? I've had my day in the sun. I don't mind. As long as we win, I don't care. So if that means I got to go do the ugly work, I'm going to go do it. And boy, that's a luxury to have as a head coach if you're Jerome Tang. But K-State gets an 89-65 win over the Privateers of New Orleans last night there at Bramlage. They will be at home again, welcoming in Cleveland State on Saturday. That is their next game for Kansas State. First college football playoff rankings are out. And the CFP rankings, well, I don't know if we'll get to this in just a minute, but Oregon, Ohio State, Georgia, Miami are the first 4 teams ranked, followed by Texas, Penn State, Tennessee, Indiana, BYU, and Notre Dame rounding out the top 10. And then you've got Alabama and Boise State 11 and 12. Kansas State, by the way, sitting at 19th after that loss to Houston, didn't drop very much. I mean, Kansas State has sat anywhere between like 17 and 21st all season long. They really have. And Colorado has climbed its way up from none-ranked to being now number 20th, right behind Kansas State because, well, the K-State Wildcats won that head-on-head matchup. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure they would surpass them. But Colorado's sitting there at 20 with Coach Prime. So the way it would look, for those who are curious, if the season ended today and you were to have the college football playoff played tomorrow, it would look like this. You would see you would have Oregon, Georgia, Miami, and BYU would secure the first-round buys because those are the 4 conference champs or the leaders in the conference positions at this point in time. Even though BYU is ranked, I think, 9th, they are the best Big 12 team. So they would get first-round buys. Then you would see in the first round Ohio State hosting Boise State, Texas hosting Alabama, Penn State hosting Notre Dame, and Tennessee hosting Indiana in the first round. That's what you would see. And there's been a lot of stink. A lot of people are saying BYU's ranked too low and Indiana's not getting enough love. All this kind of stuff. I don't know. What were your summer reactions to that first rankings of the season coming out from the CFP committee?
I mean, I really didn't have any problems with it. I think all of it was completely fair. You just look at the team. I think strength of schedule still has a huge factor, which I really like about this college football layout. I don't know. I think there's still a lot that's going to change. SMU first team out is kind of interesting. Texas A&M second team out, also something to keep note of. But boy, there could be some really, really fun, like kind of underdog matchups if you're looking at this. I think the most, to me, the most boring side of this bracket, as far as if you just want underdogs to make some noise here in this playoff bracket, would be like the Notre Dame, Penn State, Georgia on the bottom of this first projected playoff bracket. But I mean, you got Indiana's in there, BYU's in there, Boise State, and that's the fun that we wanted to see in college football that you weren't getting in the 4-team layout. And I'm just so pumped to see schools like that, the 12 seed, and then you're gonna get the Big 12 team, which isn't who we thought it's gonna be. It could be Colorado still, it could be BYU like this has right now. Indiana is out of nowhere has a chance to do something fun. So it's just really exciting. I think a lot of these teams are really beatable. Georgia has looked beatable at times. Miami hasn't really looked beatable. I think they're going to be a very tough team. Even in the beginning of the year, Oregon kind of struggled. So but they've really figured it out since then. But man, I'm just so excited to see some of these 12, the 9, and the 8 are just so fascinating to me. And I really hope one of those teams makes it far.
I think the thing people are stuck about BYU not being ranked higher. I think there's other people in the Big 12 conference saying, why in the world does the Big 12 only have 1 team in? I think that's why. And the big stink is, well, the SEC's got 4 and the Big 10's got 4. Why is there only 1? There's the 1 independent, which was expected. 1 Big 12 team. And, of course, you have the 1 group of 5 that you've guaranteed a spot for.
So here's my question. Who would be the other Big 12 team that they're wanting in the playoffs?
No, once again, I'm just speaking from the
I know.
The people.
Okay, I know, but from their perspective, do you know who they would want that second Big 12 team to be? Would it be Colorado?
If they can keep winning, yes. But once
again,
losses is going to be hard to overcome.
But also you have to think, like, if Colorado, who is Colorado replacing on the Colorado is not, at a certain point you do look at, okay, if you're going to put a second Big 12 team, what SEC team are you taking out? What SEC team is worse than Colorado? And I'm just not seeing it.
Once again, the Big 12 is going to be, I think it's going to be like this for a little while. We're going to see the Big 12 go out there, and it's going to be fun to watch during the regular season. A lot of cannibalization. You're going to see a bunch of teams just knocking each other off. It's going to be so great, close, tight football games. But when it comes to the college football playoff, when you have teams with 2 or 3 losses, that's not going to be good enough to get into the playoff and have more than one team be in the playoff. That's
I agree. And I agree.
I would say this, more than 2 teams. You might be able to get 2 teams some years because you may have 2 teams that don't play each other all season. Then they play again in the Big 12 title game. They can still maybe get in if they're unbeaten. Get what I'm saying there? But
yeah, the 12 seed is still up for grabs, I guess, for a Big 12 team. No.
Boise State could move up. I mean, Alabama, LSU is this weekend, and so that could be a game that you could see.
That's true. 11.
They could knock that out, and then maybe that would create a spot. I don't know.
It's definitely not out of play.
I'm not complaining about it. I do think Indiana does need to be higher. I think they need to be probably 5th, to be honest with you. 5th or even 4th. If Indiana had a Michigan M on it, they would be up there at number 4. Guarantee it.
Yeah. I mean,
if you haven't watched
true.
Indiana play, folks, that
Ohio's
nuts good.
Yeah, they could take the 5. I would not be mad if they take the 5. 9 is ridiculous for an undefeated team. How are they not above Tennessee?
I don't know. See, that's the point.
Okay, now I'm seeing it. Now I'm definitely seeing that. That doesn't make sense at all.
So I could see. I think Indiana should move up. Should probably be at least 5th, if not 4th, because I think they're better than Miami, in my personal opinion. I've seen them play. They're good. But anyway, college football rankings out. All right, moving on. I'll kind of let Max have the floor here. Yesterday, the NFL trade deadline happened. What stood out to you, Maxwell?
Well, yeah, no, because we were both working, but I was, I had a little extra more time that I would check my phone every now and then, see all the tweets. It wasn't really too exciting of a trade deadline. I felt like it was kind of built up to be more than it really was, in my opinion. Some trades here. I think Trey White to the Ravens is a good move, I think, in the regular season. I think it's going to help them as far as health and depth at defensive back, which they've kind of struggled on defense, which is weird for the Ravens. But he's when you get, it's going to be the Chiefs and the Ravens. You think it's going to be the Chiefs and the Ravens. Trey White's a guy that has struggled against the Chiefs in the playoffs with the Bills for most of his career. Mike Williams to the Steelers. I actually really do like that pickup for the Steelers. It gives them a little bit more depth at that spot, which I think they need. And I think he still has some stuff in him. I just don't think it worked out with the Jets. Zadarius Smith to the Lions. That's a great pickup for their edge. So I knew they were going to get an edge rusher. I didn't actually think that they were going to go that big. So props to the Lions for really continuing to buy in. But the weirdest trade was the first trade. The Dallas Cowboys in Jerry's world, who knows what's going on over there right now. It is a complete disaster. Paid more for Jonathan Mingo than the Chiefs did for DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, I don't even know. You can't make this stuff up anymore with the Cowboys. What in God's green earth are they doing? They just traded a 4th-round pick for Jonathan Mingo, who is young. Don't get me wrong, he's young, and he was good in college, but he's not proven anything to be worth a 4th-round pick in the NFL with today's, how trades line up for receivers. So that one was very questionable. But yeah, I think overall, Preston Smith got traded. The Packers, there's a couple starters really that got traded, but nothing too dramatic, I would say, from this trade deadline.
I just thought overall it was a trade-heavy trade deadline, I guess. And I mentioned that with Nick Athen on Monday.
Yes, the week, I think leading up to it, definitely.
In its totality.
Yes.
I feel like this was a very busy trade deadline in its totality from beginning to end. There was a lot of pieces that moved to new spots. Yeah, I would agree. I don't know why the Cowboys think they need to be buyers when they should be selling. I don't know why they don't do that. The Chiefs got better. The Ravens got better. Did the Bills get another wide receiver? There was talks they might try to get another one besides the one they already got in Amari Cooper.
There was nothing I saw.
Zadarius Smith was that was a really good one. Once again, they needed to get that. So, and what did they have to give up a whole lot for that?
For Tre'Davious, no, I think it was a 7th.
Oh my gosh! So
yeah, but he's getting a little older.
I get it.
But yeah.
Probably the biggest winner, was the Chiefs, wasn't it? I mean, getting DeAndre Hopkins, getting Uche. I mean, they got 2 pretty nice pieces.
I mean, it looks good. It looks good if he keeps playing like that. So. We'll see.
Mike Williams to
see.
the Steelers. We'll see if that. I mean, a lot of wide receiver movement. Trying to get help to their
Yep.
quarterbacks, and we'll see if that ends up panning out. But we'll see. There you go. The front page here on the Morning Blitz, getting you caught up on everything going on in the world of sports. Once again, we're glad to be on the air some way, somehow. It is working. And guess what? The thing is, I know it's working everywhere because I've got a radio next to me so I can hear us. We're on the air. And then, of course, Grandpa Dave's going down to Joplin this morning. Safe travels to Grandpa Dave. I've been to Joplin before. Grandpa Dave wants to know what kind of red that is. Oh, there's more than one. There's Husker red, there's Chiefs red, and there's another kind of red to be celebrated this morning, Grandpa Dave. I'll just leave it at that. There's another kind of red.
Definitely leave it at that.
I will
with
leave
Grandpa
it at
Dave.
that. All right. This has been fun. I'm enjoying it. I always find comfort in my basement. But anyway, let's get to a break. When we come back, we are going to welcome into the show Riley Gates, our good friend from On3. We will talk with him about the college football playoff rankings, his thoughts on Kansas State football and basketball after a big win last night against the Privateers in New Orleans. It's all coming up next. You're listening to the Morning Blitz here on a Wednesday.
Stadium. kind of a big deal.
With Ross Volkmer in the Morning Blitz.
Once again, welcome back to a Wednesday edition of the Morning Blitz. Glad you could join us. Once again, plenty of rainfall happening outside, at least in Goodland and in Colby. So getting plenty of nice precipitation, which is great. We'll certainly take it. That's awesome. But possibly some snow on the way. So please keep tuned in to our radio stations. All of them are up and operational. Despite the move, but just maybe not at full operation. How about that? We're operating, but not at full operation yet. But we're on the air, and we'll have coverage for severe weather and winter storms. Joel Navarro is going to be on top of that. He does a great job with that, and so be tuning in and listening. He'll have coverage on all 5 of our stations throughout the day. Keep you updated on this winter storm that could be coming through our region. We'll see anywhere from possibly a trace of snow to maybe even 7. Heck, I've even seen even over in eastern Colorado. The Idalia area over that way. Make sure I'm right on that. I don't know about Idalia, but yeah, over in that region, possibly could see 10 to 11 inches of snow. So once again, be aware of that. Let's go to the Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware Hotline, where we're now joined on the phone by our good friend Riley Gates of On3 Sports. Good morning, sir.
Morning snow.
I know it's you know what? So you don't know the whole story. So we're in the process of moving our radio station from one building to another building. And so yesterday, we're in the process of moving everything, and all of a sudden, our boss goes, "Oh my God! Look, have you seen the forecast? I mean, they're supposed to get like 5 to 7 inches of snow here." And I'm like, "You're kidding me! Don't pull my chain." But I'm telling you, there's a chance of a trace anywhere from possibly in some spots, at least west of here, possibly close to almost a foot in some spots, which is crazy to think.
I mean, I knew it snowed earlier out there. I just, I wasn't expecting it this soon.
Well, I like I said, I wasn't either. And that kind of moved up. That kind of put, I don't want to say a wrench, but it definitely had to help speed up the process of getting things moved over into the other building, because you don't want electronics sitting out in the cold.
Yeah.
But Riley Gates, our guest from On3 Sports, joining us here. Okay, we got to start with this first one, Riley, since you're a big Dallas Cowboys fan. Your thoughts on the Cowboys being buyers and not sellers at the trade deadline?
Really, I had a feeling you would ask me about the Cowboys. maybe he'll skip it and be nice to me. Nope. I mean, look, the Cowboys are a disaster from top to bottom. The defense is a mess. You could tell it was going to be a mess in the offseason. They lost a bunch of players, and they really didn't bring anybody to fix the problem. They hired a bad defensive coordinator and Mike Zimmer. It was always going to be a mess. And then just with the contract situation taking so long to sign Dak, taking so long to sign CD, it tied up. People are blaming it like it's Dak and CD's fault for taking a big contract, when that's not the case. Yes, it ate up a big chunk of salary cap, but they would have had more cap room to work with in the offseason if Jerry Jones had just done it earlier. And he just refused to do it. And so you've now thrown this season in the tank. They're clearly not going to win the NFC East. With this Dak injury, their chances to be a wild card team are got to be 2% or something insane. I know the math probably doesn't match 2%, but that's the percentage chance I would put on it. Very, very minimal. And now you're trading a 4th round pick for a receiver that, you liked in the draft process, and yes, was a 2nd round pick, but come on, that's not going to fix things. And it's a mess. They continue to trade away draft capital that they shouldn't for players that really aren't going to fix anything.
Riley Gates is our guest here on the Morning Blitz. We'll leave the Cowboys at that. Let's go to a positive note. How about that K-State basketball team last night?
Yeah, looked pretty good. Took a little bit to get going. They really couldn't get the shots to fall early, and it kind of was okay. I think they were down by 10 at one point, which obviously you never want to be to a team like New Orleans at home. But it's kind of like what I told my friends and the people I was texting during the game. It's this is a very new team. You don't really have a lot of familiar faces that are used to gelling together. And they've had the whole off season, yes, but there's just something about playing basketball against a different team, getting in the flow of the game. And so I'm not going to really freak out about like any slow struggles in November. And then they flip the switch. So give this team time to gel a little bit. They'll feel each other out, learn how to play with each other. And I think they can be a really good team once they get going. You're just going to have to give them some time to figure it out,
My question, Riley, is this is a very tough Big 12 conference. How much time do you think they're going to need to get gelled together? Because once we get into conference play, you can't afford to be losing early games.
Right, and that's the other thing too. I don't have a schedule here pulled up right in front of me, but there's a stretch. I think it's like 6 or 7 games where they get like Houston, KU, Iowa State, Arizona. Like there's a brutal stretch in there somewhere. So, yeah, I mean, you can't be waiting until January. I always think that kind of like around that Christmas mark is really where you really want to be like either figuring it out or hey, let's take a break real quick, the 4 or 5 days, whatever they get to celebrate Christmas. And then when we get back, like, let's go. So I think that's kind of probably give them a month or so to figure things out, to get some games under their belt. They play LSU, what is that, next week? And that game's at home, so that'll be good. LSU's not like some powerhouse team, but, Power 4 conference team, has good talent on it, a pretty solid coach. That'll be a good test to kind of see where is this team, how much growing do they have left to do.
And, obviously the biggest transfer was Coleman Hawkins. But for KU, it's been Diggy Coit was like kind of a surprise new player on this team. Who do you expect to kind of take that next step out of all these new players kind of in a surprising way?
Well, I tell you what, Max Jones looked really good last night. He scored 19 points. Felt like every time I looked at the TV, he was hitting a shot. And so I was really impressed to kind of see how he played. I just really like to watch Brennan Housen play. And maybe it's just because, like, in all my years watching and covering K-State basketball, like, Will Spradling is the guy that like comes to mind when you think of the white shooter that sits in the corner and nails threes. and K-State never has that guy, and it seems like every other team has that guy. And Brennan Housen looks like that guy. So I always like watching him. He looks like he's gonna, be a pretty big scorer for this team. The offense, I don't want to say the offense is gonna flow through him, but they're definitely gonna look for him, look to get him shots. And if you get a guy like that going, you become a really hard team to beat, especially with Coleman Hawkins, who like is he's gonna draw so much attention that you need other players to knock down their shots. You need Max Jones, you need Brennan Housen.
What are your thoughts on Kansas State becoming a team that is shooting a ton of threes? 34 attempts last night. I know that's the way of college basketball to an extent, but your thoughts on the amount of threes that they're attempting?
I mean, if they hit them, I'm not going to tell them to stop shooting. It's like if you can do it, go after it. We've seen this offense struggle at times. They hit some lulls last year where it just got to a point where it's like, I cannot watch this offense. Like, this is not good basketball. It's tough to watch. But if you get to a point where you become a shooting team, like that really does open up so much. It's like having a big name receiver that the defense has to guard on football. That opens up the running game, and then it just makes your offense so much better. So as long as they're not getting to a point where it's like, you're jacking up 30, 40 threes a game and you're hitting 12, like, yeah, I'm good with that.
Riley Gates can be our guest here on the Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware Hotline. Let's transition over to the college football playoff rankings that came out. I know you follow college football rather closely there at On3. What are your initial thoughts of the top 12 teams if the season ended today?
Well, I always say this. It's funny when I get asked this question because we always write the college football playoff rankings. We try to, get some good clicks off of it because it's a big story. But my first response is always, it does not matter on November 5th.
Right.
Like, so many people get worked up about, oh my God, how could they leave this team out of the top 4 or how's this team number 8 below this team? It doesn't matter right now. Like, sure, we have a little bit of an indication of where things stand. And I saw, people were worked up last night that Boise State was number 12, SMU was number 13. If Boise State wins out and goes undefeated and wins their conference, they're not going to be number 12. They're going to be pushing for that number 4 spot. So, like, it will all balance out. I highly encourage people to just take a breath, relax, and not freak out. All that being said, if you want like my opinion of where the rankings stand today, the one thing that stood out to me a little bit was Indiana being number 8.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a case you can make that, like, you're not recognizing how good this team is and you're punishing them for not being a brand. Like, Indiana's undefeated. They're throttling everybody they play. It hasn't been as good a competition. They don't have like that big signature win, and that's what's holding against them. But they've played the teams that were on their schedule and that they have to beat. And if you'd have told somebody at the start of the year that Indiana would be undefeated in November, they would have went insane. So, like, I think we need to have a little bit better perspective on what Curt Cignetti and Indiana are doing right now.
Let's face it, Riley, if that was a Michigan Block M on their uniforms, they'd be top 5.
If it was any of the teams in front of them, yeah. I mean, and then like Notre Dame, Alabama, like all of these teams, if they had that resume, no matter who they played, they would be in the top 5. So I do feel a little bit for Indiana, but exactly like what I said with Boise. If they go out there and they keep winning, they're going to beat Ohio State. They're going to climb.
Once again, Riley Gates is our guest here from On 3 Sports. Okay, one more before we let you go here. The Big 12, only one team in, BYU at 9. Is there an issue for that in any way, shape, or form? That the Big 12 only really has a chance of looking like it might get one team in, possibly?
No, because I thought the Big 12 was only going to get one team in from the start of the season, and the way that the season's played out has only strengthened that.
Yep.
I mean, look, I think the only way that the Big 12 was ever going to get 2 teams in was if you go to a conference championship, you have an undefeated team and you have a 1-loss team, and it's like a really tight game. Like, that was kind of really the only scenario where I could see the Big 12 getting 2. Something like that happening. And the way that the season's played out, it just doesn't look good, like, for the Big 12 to get more than 1. They don't really have 2 teams that I think you can fight for. Like, Iowa State lost a home game. K-State lost 2 really brutal games. So they've really kind of put themselves behind the 8 ball. BYU, obviously, they're in the driver's seat. They're in the mix, and they're going to stay that way if they keep winning games. So, yeah, I'd love to see the Big 12 have more teams, but I don't think the Big 12 is deserving to have more teams in that top 12 format right now. Frankly, I was shocked to see K-State 19. Like, when the first 5 spots came out and I didn't see K-State in that, I was like, wow, they dropped them from the rankings for the Houston loss. And I don't think I would have had much of a case against that.
Nope. Valid points. Riley Gates of On 3 Sports. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate the time. Enjoy the no snow. All right.
Yeah, I mean, it's cold here, and I like that, but I think I'll hold off on the snow for a little bit. You guys keep that out there.
We'll do our best to put
and enjoy Jonathan Mingo.
We just gotta pretend that it's gonna work. That's be optimistic and just keep losing every Sunday.
Well, Cowboys fans have been doing it for a while, but
thanks, Riley. Appreciate your time, my friend. We'll catch up later.
Thanks, Riley.
Yes, sir. Anytime.
Once again, great stuff there from Riley Gates of On 3 Sports. All right, we'll take our final break. Come back. We're going to have a very fast college football Power 5. We're going to power through it next here on the Wednesday edition of the Morning Blitz.
You're tuned in to the Morning Blitz with Ross Volkmer.
That broadcast school has really paid off.
Pushing through on a Wednesday show here on the Morning Blitz. Once again, precipitation, winter weather coming into the region. Be tuned in to your favorite NWKS radio station for weather updates throughout the day. Rain early, snow later. Accumulations anywhere from a trace to possibly 7+ inches in certain areas. So just be aware and stay tuned in to your favorite NWKS radio station. I guarantee we're going to go long on the show today. It's just the way it works. But you know what? I think we're just going to give ourselves a pat on the back. We're on the air today. Not just ourselves personally, but a huge shout out to our crew that worked tirelessly into the wee hours of this morning to get the Goodland stations up on. Speaking of which, I saw Grandpa Dave had a question for us asking about why the move. Well, Grandpa Dave, if you've ever been in the old building that we are in, it's very, very big. It's too big for what we need, and it's very, very old, and it was not extremely well taken care of. So we have moved into a smaller but nicer building, and definitely more suitable for our needs. So there you go, Grandpa Dave. I know he was curious about that. Want to make sure he gets his answer here this morning on the Morning Blitz. Okay, let's see here. I got to find the right button here. Let's dive in. We have a college football Power 5. Where did I put that? Here we go. Hopefully, if it'll work. Maybe it won't.
There it is.
There we go. All right, Max, lead us off.
All right.
Oh,
Do
you're
we do all?
number 5. What do you got?
We honorable mention.
Yep, go ahead.
Honorable mention this week. Oh God, where did I put it? UCF versus Arizona State is my honorable mention this week. I think UCF has been playing a fun brand of football, and so is Arizona State. Two kind of surprising teams in the Big 12, which has just been a fun conference to watch, whether it's because of good football or bad football. So that's my honorable mention. Jumping into number 5, or no, you go with your honorable mention.
I will take honorable mention. I'm going to the ACC network, where we're going to have Syracuse at Boston College. Once again, Syracuse is 6-2. Very good season. We laughed about Kyle McCord and his 6 interceptions in a game and 3 of them going for pick sixes. He still has 21 touchdowns on the year. He's been very good in a first-year head coach in Fran Brown there at Syracuse. They're 6-2. They're bowl eligible. Boston College looked like world beaters out of the gate. They have lost 3 straight coming into this game, but Boston College still a 2-point favorite at home. I think this game is entertaining in ACC. Syracuse at Boston College. Number 5.
Ross, call me crazy. I'm going to say it. KU versus Iowa State is my number 5 pick, and here's why. It's going to be a close game. They're all close games. KU's not going to win. I know this. They're not going to win. They're going to lose by 3. They'll have the lead in the fourth quarter, then they'll lose by 3. It's whatever. It is what it is. But if you're a college football fan and not a fan of KU or not a fan of Iowa State, heck, if you're a K-State fan, this will be another perfect watch for you because K-State's going to lose by 3 once again. But I tell you what, it's good football because there's talent on both sides, and if the trend continues, it's going to be a close game. So I'll put it at number 5.
I don't have a problem with that at number 5, honestly. I think it could be a good game. But I don't know if I see, once again, I don't know if I see them winning anything too super great.
Definitely not.
Moving on. My number 5, I'm going to the Big Ten, Iowa at UCLA. First of all, both teams are coming off very good wins, or impressive wins. Iowa just routing Wisconsin. And then after that, you had UCLA pretty much putting a beat down on Nebraska at home in what was a shocker to many of us who wear red. But nonetheless, that should be an interesting game. UCLA's riding high after that win. Iowa's riding high. That's a Friday night game on Fox. Should be entertaining. I look forward to seeing how that game shakes out. That's Iowa, and I think it's at UCLA, right? Yeah, Iowa at UCLA on Fox. Interesting game. That's why it's number 5 for me. In the College Football Power 5 Week 11. Number 4.
I've got at number 4, Missouri versus Oklahoma. Missouri needs to keep winning at a very, they're not going to make the playoffs, but they need to keep winning to keep, continuing this good football program that they've had over the last few years. I know they're going to be losing a lot of key players, but Missouri versus Oklahoma. Oklahoma, has struggled this year, but I've got that at number 4 because I think it's going to be another close matchup for MU.
My number 4, I am going with Michigan at Indiana. Once again, I don't know what the series history is between these two teams, but I'm pretty sure it's heavily favored towards Michigan. Michigan's not very good this year. I'm more interested because I want to see how many points Indiana puts up on Big Blue. I want to see it. I really want to see it. Right now, who would have thought at any time in their life, or even this year, that Michigan would be a Indiana would be a 2-touchdown favorite?
Crazy.
That's crazy to think about. Indiana at home hosting Michigan. That to me is a game I got to see, even though I think Indiana will win pretty handily in this game. Number 3.
My number 3 this week, going back to the Big 12, Colorado versus Texas Tech. Texas Tech is coming off of a big win against Iowa State last week. They're looking like a good football team. Colorado trying to keep cruising and stay in the top 25. Rado's only favored by 3.5. This is in Texas Tech. I just think it's going to be another good Big 12 football game. And this is big for Colorado. They got to win this one because this is one that's definitely losable, and this could really continue to prove, Travis Hunter's Heisman race and them to be in the Big 12 championship. So this is a very, very intriguing game.
My number 3, I'm going to the Big 12 where we have the Holy War. BYU at Utah. Folks, if you don't know, this rivalry they hate each other. I mean, hate. I don't even know why holy's even in the name of the rivalry game.
Are they even allowed to hate out there?
Yeah, good point. I don't know if there's something they can't hate, it's each other. BYU, Utah. I don't care if the Cougars are 8-0. I don't care. BYU is going after them. And nothing would make BYU's disappointing 4-4 season happier than knocking off an unbeaten BYU team. By the way, Utes have lost 4 in a row. Arizona, Arizona State, TCU, and Houston. They cannot score the ball. Their offense is bad. But it doesn't matter in a rivalry game. Oh, this game could be good. This could be really good. Number 3, BYU at Utah. Into the top 2.
Number 2 this week, I've got Georgia at Ole Miss, 2:30 on ABC and ESPN. I love it when these two teams play. I mean, you've got Ole Miss. I love watching Ole Miss so much. Their jerseys are just so unbelievably cool. Just straight off jersey. I mean, they have such a cool combo. But regardless, they're so good. All of them. The powder blue, the red that they mix in with it. Beautiful. Just a beautiful, beautiful environment there in Ole Miss. And it's in Ole Miss. I think they have a chance to take this one home. UGA minus 2.5. I don't know. There might be trouble. Carson Beck needs to play some good football. I really am not a believer in Carson Beck playing good football when it matters the most a lot of the time. So, that's my number 2. I think Ole Miss really has a very, very good chance to win this game.
My number 2 is Alabama at LSU. The reason why this is number 2 and not number 1, I don't know. I think it's honestly, my top 3 could interchange between BYU, Utah, Alabama, LSU, and my number 1, but they could all interchange. But Alabama at LSU entertain to me. I think you've got 2 teams that are playing for their playoff lives. If whoever loses this game is out, especially if it's Alabama. And if LSU wins, they vault themselves into the College Football Playoff deal. So this is one of those playoff type games we've talked about before the playoff. Alabama, LSU, number 2.
That's my number 1, Ross. Hit it on the nose. This is another one of those playoff games. Is Alabama ready for the test with their new wave without Nick Saban? They've got to beat LSU this week if they want to have a chance to make the playoffs. They lose, they're out. Just like you said, LSU, they're really not there. I haven't heard too much about them technically being in the conversation so far, but I tell you what, they beat Alabama here. They are jumping right into the thick of it with this victory, and I think they could do it. It's in Death Valley, and Alabama favored by 3. I don't know. Maybe I might be looking at a little LSU here this weekend.
We'll see. I tell you, to be favored on the road in LSU is saying something, though.
Yeah,
for sure. My number 1 game, once again, could be interchangeable with my top 3, Georgia and Ole Miss. I think I like this game. I think it could be really close. I think we could see a lot of points. So if you love offense, this could be your game. 2 good quarterbacks going at it. Jackson Dart, 21 touchdowns to 3 picks. Gosh, he's been so good this year.
He doesn't even play second half
very well. They also run the football very, very well. But yeah, I think once again, if looking at it now, the more I think about it this morning, I think I'd actually put BYU, Utah 1, and then Alabama, LSU 2, Georgia, Ole Miss 3. Michigan at Indiana 4, Iowa at UCLA 5, and Syracuse at Wisconsin, my honorable mention, if I said
Yeah.
it right now.
I think that's completely fair. And Jackson Dart, like, he's having an incredible. Those numbers are ridiculous, and he's been benched for like 2 or 3 second halves because they're up by so much. It's ridiculous. I mean, his numbers could be even crazier if he played out those games. So I'm very excited for that Dart Beck matchup, and I'm a lot bigger of a fan of Jackson Dart.
Yep, it should be a great. Once again, that's Week 11, the College Football Power 5.
A 3-run walk-off home run. A game-winning walk-off with a walk-off. His second walk-off hit of the season. In walk-off fashion, that baby's gone.
You got anything in the walk-off this morning, Max?
Let's see. I mean, I'm just glad that I'm happy that sports are a thing. I got to say this in the walk-off, that because a lot of people woke up happy, a lot of people woke up angry. That's just how the country works nowadays. So I'm glad that sports are a thing, and I'm glad that people, hopefully, what we can do at the very least is distract people from a lot of the craziness that happens in the world. That's always what I think of sports, and especially in these times. So I hope everyone's, whichever side you're on, I hope everyone's doing great, and I wish the best for everyone. And yeah, I'm happy to have another morning on the Morning Blitz. That's my walk-off statement there, Ross. And I'm glad this worked out. And I want to say,
I can't believe, honestly, I'm still shocked it did. But
thanks to you, Ross, for getting this all set up, because we could have just been off the air today and like not wanted to do any video, but we set it up yesterday. So I'm thankful for you and everyone else that helped out yesterday. It was a interesting and fun time.
Yes, but it always is. We found a way to work. 2 quick things for me. Once again, interesting news out of Nebraska. They're adding Dana Holgerson as a consultant. The offense is horrendous. They got to find something. They're adding Dana Holgerson as a consultant. Will that matter? I don't know, but interesting. And, of course, severe weather coming to the listening region. Stay tuned into your radio stations. We'll have coverage on all 5 of our stations as we continue to make our way and hopefully we'll be in the new studio sooner rather than later. But we will be on the air. We will be back tomorrow because we did today, so we can do it again tomorrow.
Let's do it again.
I'm Ross. We'll see you tomorrow here on The Blitz. Thanks for listening.